July 23rd, 2020. As you're looking at the latest from the National Hurricane Center, and what we have in the Gulf of Mexico is Tropical Depression number 8. It's expected to become a tropical storm before it moves into Texas or South Louisiana, somewhere in that area. Maximum winds are 35 miles an hour or 30 knots. Central pressure, 1,007 millibars. It's moving west-northwest at 8 knots or 9 miles an hour. We're going to look at the satellite images. Also, let's take a look at Gonzalo, which is expected to become a Cat 1 possibly by this evening. Now, we've got maximum sustained winds at 65 miles an hour. So, and they're expected in the last model, we're going to check for the newest one, but in the last model, they were saying it would probably get up to about 80 miles an hour. Then it may run into less conducive conditions in a few days. But 65 mile per hour sustained winds, 997 millibars. It's moving west at 12 knots or 14 miles an hour. The models still have it going right through Hurricane Alley. And what we got here is the Tropical Depression 8. It's 35 mile per hour winds, again west-northwest at 9 miles per hour. You can see they're saying by in the morning at Friday at 8 a.m. you're going to be up to tropical storm speeds, and staying that way through Saturday at 8 a.m. and coming ashore sometimes around that. That's the center of the storm. You're going to have wind and waves and rain out in front of it also. But remember, this yellow cone, guys, is where they predict the center will be. They've got the average here in the very middle of it. And depending on the size, and we'll look at the satellite imaging, this would put Houston and the bay in this area, guys, under the northwest or the most dangerous quadrant, or the northeast quadrant, the top right section of the storm. Now, the models on Tropical Depression 8 as of 11:30 a.m. pretty much going along with the Hurricane Center's map. You've got the white line, which is the TADS model, going the furthest north, and then most of the other models go from there south down towards the Mexican border. We'll watch again. Your top right quadrant is going to be your most dangerous. And the storm here hasn't changed much. This is Tropical Storm Gonzalo. The models are moving a little further south. We had a couple bringing it closer to San Juan in this area. But right now it looks like a pretty straight shot. And by Friday in the morning, 75 mile per hour Cat 1 hurricane. Continues that well now into the Caribbean area, guys. It was dying out before that, but there's a massive Saharan dust cloud that's bearing down on the storm that may inhibit it somewhat, but this one will have to be watched, because whatever it does, if it weakens it somewhat, it could re-strengthen as it gets closer to the Gulf of Mexico itself and the warmer waters. So we will be watching it. Looking at the wide view from the, it's called the Wide Atlantic Satellite View, you can see both Tropical Storm Gonzalo here, and here in the Gulf of Mexico, you can see Tropical Depression 8. Now, let me stop this a moment right about here. What you're seeing is the Saharan dust cloud right here, and coming off the coast of Africa. And what right here is the glare of the sun, but it's kind of bearing down now on the tropical storm itself. And as I'll play this through, you can see that it looks like the very top of this is becoming a little less organized, because moisture is being absorbed by this Saharan dust layer. But notice there's an opening behind it right here off the coast of Africa. Now, there's some sand or dust coming off of the coast there now, but it's these openings like this, and this is why it comes in cycles. They provide the atmosphere that these storms need, and that's why we saw Gonzalo form in the first place. But you notice it's open behind it here, and you're still having activity coming off the African coast. We're right in that part time of the year. Let's look closer at the Gulf itself. Guys, here you can tell by the rotation at the surface that you have a very good, well-formed storm. The clouds are rising, and they're starting to wrap around the center. That's why they're predicting it to become a tropical storm. I think it would be Hannah. So pay attention to it. You're going to have rip currents along the coast, guys. Small craft warnings will be going up. Tropical storm watches and warnings will be going up in the next few hours. But pay attention to it. And you're going to have some flooding. You're going to have high winds, possibly some tree damage and power lines down. Rip currents will be a main threat. Watch for, again, tornadoes and water spouts also. But as it gets closer, again, we'll see these warnings go up, and they may give us some idea of exactly what you're looking at. As it strengthens, the modeling will become more precise, and they'll start throwing up things like how much inundation, how much rain you're going to have in the area, what kind of tidal surge, if any, you're going to have. And there should be some. With any of these tropical storms, they're going to cover the low-lying roads along the beaches. They're going to wash out some beaches. But the most dangerous thing along the shore is people not paying attention and drowning in these rip currents, which are very active now. You can tell by the entire Gulf of Mexico right now. It is responding to this storm. All the way around, it's pulling in moisture. The upper level clouds are not being blown away by wind shear. And again, by the time this thing updates, there may be visible rotation at the top layer. It's almost there now. But guys, we're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.